He's like, Dad, he's like real upset. It's like, Dad, I don't want to grow a beard like you. I even think he said like he didn't want to lose his hair like me. And I said, well, man, I said, you got to eat spinach.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And he goes into the fridge and gets the big tub of spinach and like fistful, like just jamming it in his mouth. I'm like, he looks like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
Like spinach. That's the first time I've ever seen it. Moving on, let's talk kids' cuisine. All right.
This is where you and I differ a lot.
Well, we were about to find out. So, all right, here's the deal. Mom leaves the house. Mm-hmm. Mom leaves town. And it's Dad in charge of getting these kids fed. What are you feeding your kids?
So I have different taste buds. Do your kids have different taste buds? Like, do they eat different things? Or
No, they're pretty consistent.
Okay.
It's sausage biscuits and French toast sticks and sugar. That's a 3-course diet that we have.
So, all right. So my son is chicken nuggets, grilled cheese. He'll eat noodles, things like that. So he tries to eat real foods. I guess really the only processed food he eats is the chicken nuggets, but we try to go the healthy chicken nuggets.
Oh, you're going organic?
Yeah. Sometimes it's like the fake chicken nuggets, like it's plant-based, stuff like that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Well,
So
was there a strategy that you just fed the kids from the beginning on that?
that's always done it, yeah. Now, and then my daughter, I don't know what she eats, what we eat, like adults. Like
so
she, and that has been since day one. She just eats, like she wants to come sit in my lap and eat off of my plate, and that is broccoli. If I have Brussels sprouts, like she ate.
It's next level.
She ate steak the other night. She's like, Daddy, I want to bite. So I gave her a bite of steak, and she ate a bite of steak. And I was like, is that good? Yeah, she loves it.
That's next level.
Yeah, and we didn't train her that way. That's just her taste buds.
Kudos to you.
Yeah,
we're nowhere close to that. Yeah, I think I've given up hope that, and I do the bribe. Like I absolutely do the bribe where I'm like, hey, if you eat a piece of spinach, funny story for you about spinach. So we were down at the beach a couple of weeks ago, mm-hmm. and Riggs, my youngest, he comes up to me and he was just real worried about growing facial hair, and he's 5 because he's feeling my beard.
Yeah,
and I've never seen him eat a piece of green anything. And I've gotten to the point, the kids have seen me do it, where I'm not a huge greens fan, but in order to do it, I will just take it by the handful and power through it.
Yeah.
And just get like 3 handfuls. I don't even put it on a plate as a meal. I just like do it and then eat whatever I want to eat. Yeah. So I've seen me been doing that. And I said, he's like, Dad, he's like real upset. It's like, Dad, I don't want to grow a beard like you. I even think he said like he didn't want to lose his hair like me. And I said, well, man, I said, you got to eat spinach.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And he goes into the fridge and gets the big tub of spinach and like fistful, like just jamming it in his mouth. I'm like, he looks like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
Like spinach. That's the first time I've ever seen him eat greens. So that one did work. But typically I'm always like, we go with 2 boys. I'm like, if you want muscles.
Right.
Or like, hey, if you want to be strong.
Yeah.
Or Jaxie's playing football. I'm like, if you actually want to knock somebody over, you've got to eat your protein and your things like that. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean.
So, okay. So question. So does it, like if your wife's out of town, does it change or does it just kind of roll with what you've already been doing?
Well, it definitely changes.
Oh, okay.
Because my wife, she is great and she tries and she introduces new foods. Yep. I'm like, it's crazy because you can look at me and you can tell that I don't skip a meal.
Yeah.
Right? I don't skip a meal. But it's not like I don't forget to feed my kids. But I get so caught up in doing whatever. I'm like, oh my God, the kids haven't eaten.
Yeah.
And so it comes down to 2 points. It's, and I'm telling on myself, so my wife's going to hear this and now I'm out there. But it's like whatever they've rated and fed themselves in the pantry. And as a parent, I'll go in there and be like, are you guys hungry?
Yes.
And they'll be like, no. And the adult in me should be like, well, I know what you're eating, so pony up here and eat.
Right.
But they say no. I'm like, well, that's good enough. They're not going to die. And I go back to work or doing what I have to do. But typically for me, it is probably my fault. It's like I've fixed them stuff like good sandwiches or healthy stuff, and they're just like, "Meh." So it's like now it's Cheeto mac and cheese. It's chicken nuggets, the elite chicken nuggets, the corn, the little like corn dogs.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't, we've got a little Ninja air fryer.
Okay.
That thing is the king of the castle around here. Whatever I can throw in there, push 20 minutes, let it cool off, put it on a plate, and they'll eat it. That's where we go.
Yeah.
But the biggest change when mom goes away is she is very strategic on when they eat.
Yeah.
And she knows their symptoms of when they start getting grouchy and whiny.
Right.
It's because they haven't eaten. And somehow that doesn't ring a bell to me. I'm just like, why are these kids turning into the devil? Like, ah. She'll be like, they're hungry, and she'll feed them, and they're like, Snickers bar commercial. They're good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So we had
starve when I'm around.
Yeah. So we've in this. And I will say this. I think this started when my wife was away. I think this did. They started raiding our pantry. Okay, and like getting into things and getting marshmallows and candies and things like that. I think because I was distracted with the baby or something like that, and I found like I just came around the corner and they were sitting there stuffing their face with marshmallows. I'm like, how did you get these? And kids are smart, by the way. They had pulled the dog food holder over, climbed up on top of it, and reached up and grabbed where we keep our marshmallows, their treats, and gotten it down, unbeknownst to me, because I was taking care of Sloan. And it's like, how did you guys get these? And I walk in there, turn around, and there they are, and like they stacked 15 things. I'm like, well, I'm glad you guys didn't fall and die, you know?
Yeah.
So now we have one of those spinning locks
Good call.
on our pantry. So
good call.
But I think that's the only thing, because my wife's pretty aware of where they are and what they're doing. But that was a big change for us.
Actually, it's a pretty big accident. Mom was in town. Thank goodness that we were both here. But Riggs, my 5-year-old, has gotten super independent on fixing his food. I heard about this, yeah. And he owns the microwave. And usually it's sausage biscuits or French toast sticks or something like that. If it's hot, it's a drop, right? Mm-hmm. But he decided to make himself some ramen noodles and then pulled it out of the microwave and poured it down his chest. And luckily it was just first and second degree burn, so it ended up being like a really, really, really bad sunburn.
Yep.
And now he's completely healed. But that was
that's scary moment. Yeah.
So we talk about, like, if your kids are independent, watch them out around the microwave. That's probably like elementary 101 dad stuff there. But things happen. But yeah, I mean, our kids, we love the independence that they have. It's just, what are they eating? And I tell you what, if my wife has gone to Costco and if there's like cereal, she buys the big bags of cereal, and she'll buy, like, as we saw in your back seat, goldfish, and all these things, and like the little Oreo packets. Mm-hmm. What would take a normal human being a month to go through those? They will knock those out in 3 days.
Put a lock on your pantry.
It doesn't matter. I'm pretty convinced they'll ninja their way into it.
Your kids may ninja their way into it. Yeah.
They may. So that only gets amplified when mom's away with me, because they give a little bit more freedom. Yeah. And then they're I should better watch that. So, is there, before we move on here, is there anything that your wife or mom fixes that the kids love, and then that when you do that, they're like, man, no. And it's the same thing. You're like, what in the world?
I haven't run into, I mean, maybe noodles. Like, she's really good at making certain types of noodles. Or
like butter noodles.
Like butter noodles, butter and garlic noodles. Or I did something with Bennett, because she's big in noodles, and maybe I didn't do the cheese right or something like that. She said, Mommy does it, do it this way. You know, that's one thing I've run into.
Yeah, I make it the same. I mean, and it's because Dad's making it, or it's the delivery. Like, I didn't put it on the right color plate.
Now, okay, there it is. Okay,
or the food's touching.
Yes, yeah. Now, I will say that we get into wrong color plates, or I want red dip, which is ketchup, or white dip, which is some ranch, or I want brown dip, which is barbecue sauce, and those can't be in the same spot, or I want a pink cup versus the yellow cup, and I'm like, it doesn't matter, it's still water. Yeah, that's what I get into.
Those are game changers.
Yep.
Yeah, so we make it. But for me, it was eggs. Like, they would eat eggs to death.
Yeah.
As soon as Dad makes them. I mean, is there a different scrambling technique that I'm unaware of? I mean,
well, apparently there is, because my wife hates the way I do my eggs, because here's why, right? I do my scrambled eggs quickly because I'm hungry, and I'm like, hey, scramble them up.
So you don't mix them up.
Yeah. She's the really low, and it takes 10 minutes to scramble eggs kind of type. Now, they're nice, and they're good, and they're fluffy. I don't have the patience for
So yours are like burnt on the bottom.
No.
You've got like a lot of white spots in there.
I do have a lot of white spots. Yeah.
Yolk.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that.
That's the way I eat my eggs. And I'm like, and she's like, well, it doesn't taste good. And I'm like, they're scrambled eggs. They're going to taste the same.
So I'm seeing a trend here. Your wife doesn't eat your food too.
She does. She's just not my eggs.
Yeah. Well, if you were fixing kids' food, she wouldn't like it.
Hey, let's talk about her wings here.
Hey, we'll save that for next segment.